everyone, it's Kim here. I'm just jumping in to share with you a new project that I'm doing. And I just thought it would be really fun for everyone to join me on this project. And the project is called the Thinking Experiment. So what we're going to be doing here in the Thinking Experiment is actually sharing all of our awarenesses around all the different types of thoughts that exist. And also what is available to us on the other side of thoughts, and understanding the thinking that happens, why it happens, how it's happening, but also if we're in this place at the moment on this planet where everyone's struggling. Not everyone, a lot of people are struggling with mental health issues. It is a crying out sign that something needs to change. And this thinking experiment is going to be facilitating the awareness of thought for a start. We need to actually start to see thinking, because thinking's such an intangible part of our day that we don't even get to see it. It just happens without you actually noticing it. So it's really important that you get to understand that you are thinking and when you are thinking. And I'm going to be sharing my own awarenesses around thinking and what I learn about thinking, but also our transition from our natural evolutionary state, from thinking as humans, moving into sensing and receiving and knowing. So we're moving as humans, we are evolving, and we're moving from thinking into sensing, knowing and receiving. However, we need to understand the thinking. Don't need to get rid of it. We don't need to change it. We just need to understand it. And as I always say, when we understand something, we then naturally have a shift in consciousness. Now, consciousness isn't thinking. Thinking is different to consciousness. Consciousness is understanding situations. When we actually have a shift in consciousness, our understanding naturally changes. So this is where this thinking experiment is all about, understanding and bringing thinking, an intangible thing, into something that is more tangible, but starting to access more of the knowledge and wisdom in the receiving, again, from the universe, from the soul, from our intuition. There's so many places we can receive information that you'll start to find, and you'll start to see that through the thinking experiment, that thinking is just an old process that keeps us stuck in what I call these four walls, which is fine if we want to be there, but if we want a different experience here, and if we're looking at playing around with our own evolution, if mental health is an issue, we need to see that the mental health is an issue, and that they're not change or fix it, but actually look at another way. And that's what I would like to share in this experiment, is what I'm learning through the thinking experiment. I have actually been experimenting with this for probably about 3 years. So I've got lots of catch up to share with you, lots of things to share around our awarenesses around thinking. And even as I say that, even if I say awareness around thinking, you probably have allowed thinking to happen and not had an awareness around it. I won't go into conscious, subconscious, unconscious, superconsciousness. I won't go into all those concepts right now. We just need to go into awareness of thinking. And that is the first step that I want to share here with this thinking experiment, is our awareness of thinking. Now, I want you to see something really important as our first step in the awareness of thinking. The first step in the awareness of thinking is, when we notice we are thinking, who is it that's noticing that we're thinking? So let's just say you have a thought of, I don't like that person over there. Let's just say that's a thought I don't like, or I don't like this situation. You can see yourself saying, I don't like that situation. So if you can see it, who is the one that's seeing the thought, seeing you have the thought and noticing, like, how do you know that you had that thought? The way you know you had that thought is that you say, I don't like that thing, or I don't like that person, makes you feel bad. So feelings are connected to thoughts, and feelings are the things that are here to help us with our consciousness. So the feelings, let's just say the really basic awareness of, I don't like this, that creates a bad feeling of, I don't like this. What that is showing us is that we are having a thought. So as soon as you notice, oh, I'm not feeling good, because you've not even maybe noticed that you've said that I don't like it, then you can go into consciousness, because that's actually happened unconsciously. So now you go, oh, I don't feel good. Why don't I feel good? Then you go, what thought did I just have? And then you'll notice, if you look at the thought you just had, the thought was, I don't like this. Now you're back to consciousness. Now what you'll find is, if you go, oh, I just had the thought that I don't like this. And then if I had the thought that I don't like this, the thought happened, but I'm watching the thought happen. The thought happened. I'm watching the thinking happening. So in actual fact, that thought, I don't like that, is not actually me, because I'm watching it happening. And I'll go into more details a little bit later around all of this. But I just want you to notice, if you can see that thought, then it's not you. It's super cool. So I just want you to get used to noticing your thinking. And again, if you're noticing thinking, pop below any comments around the thinking that you notice. And then I'll actually start talking a little bit more about that in our thinking experiment. I'd love you to come on board with me and play around with me with the thinking experiment and share the thinking that you're aware of. But don't put any bad thinking, bad labels or anything like that, because again, what you resist persists and thinking will get worse. So we don't want to make thinking bad or wrong. It's just thinking. And if I just want you to start noticing that you're thinking. And then if you're noticing you're thinking, who's the one who's noticing that you're thinking? It's actually the true you is seeing yourself think. And then if you've not noticed that you've been thinking and the thinking has happened, but all of a sudden you feel bad, the feeling is telling you that you're thinking without noticing. And then you can go, well, if I'm feeling bad, what was the thought that I was just thinking? As soon as you notice what the thought was that you were thinking, you watch the feeling completely drop. It'll completely drop, because it's got your attention to bring you into consciousness. And now you are aware that you had the thought. And then once you have the thought, I want you to be aware that the thought happened, but it's not who you are. So go through that process, play around with it. If there's any other thinking you get stuck with, pop it below and we will play around with it in this experiment, and I'll share a little bit more about what you can do. But first off, I just want you to go into awareness of thinking. That is the first stage. And I'll see you later on for the next step. Bye.